Hash the Symbol Bearer, Part 1. The old man woke up before the sun just like he did every day. His name was Kang Do-yun, and he was 67 years old. He lived in a small house near the sea, in a quiet town where nothing much happened anymore. That was exactly why he chose this place. Do-yun sat up slowly. His back hurt. His knees hurt. Everything hurt these days, but he did not complain. He had learned a long time ago that complaining changed nothing. You just had to keep moving. He walked to his small kitchen and made tea. Through the window, he could see the ocean. The water was dark blue in the early morning light. Fishing boats were already going out. Do-yun watched them for a while, holding his warm cup in his rough hands. This was his life now, simple, quiet, alone. He liked it that way, or at least that was what he told himself. After breakfast, Do-yun went outside to work in his garden. He grew vegetables and some flowers. His neighbors sometimes stopped to talk to him. They knew him as a kind old man who kept to himself. They did not know anything else about him. They did not know about the nightmares that woke him up some nights. They did not know about the faces he still saw when he closed his eyes. That was fine. Some things were better left buried. Around noon, Do-yun's neighbor, an old woman named Mrs. Yoon, came by with some rice cakes. She always worried that he did not eat enough. "You look tired today," she said. "I am always tired," Do-yun answered with a small smile. "That is what happens when you get old." Mrs. Yoon laughed. "You are not that old. My husband is 75 and he still goes fishing every day." "Your husband is stronger than me." "No," Mrs. Yoon said, looking at him carefully. "I do not think so. I think you are very strong, Mr. Kang. You just do not show it." Do-yun did not answer. He just thanked her for the rice cakes and went back inside. In the afternoon, he decided to clean his storage room. He had been putting it off for months. The room was full of old boxes and dusty things he never looked at anymore. Most of it was junk. He should throw it all away. He moved boxes around, sorting things into piles. Keep, throw away, maybe. The maybe pile was getting too big. He was not good at letting go of things. Then he found it. The trunk was in the back corner, hidden under an old blanket. Do-yun stopped moving. He stared at it for a long moment. His heart started beating faster. He had not opened that trunk in 20 years, maybe longer. He had moved it from house to house, place to place, but he never opened it. It was easier to pretend it did not exist. But today, for some reason, his hands moved on their own. He pulled away the blanket. He wiped the dust from the top of the trunk, and he opened it. Inside was his old uniform. The fabric was faded now, gray and blue, the colors of the United Earth Defense Force. Do-yun reached down and touched it. The material was rough under his fingers. It still smelled a little like smoke and sweat and something else, something he could not name. He lifted the jacket out of the trunk. It was heavier than he remembered. On the chest was a patch, a symbol, a circle with 7 lines crossing through it, forming a kind of star. The light of 7, that was what they called it. Do-yun traced the symbol with his finger. Memories came flooding back. He did not want them, but they came anyway. He remembered the ship that took them across the stars. He remembered the planet called Veth Prime. He remembered the fear and the smoke and the blood. He remembered the faces of his friends. Some of them made it home. Most of them did not. He remembered the camps, the aliens they found there, thin and scared and hopeless. He remembered telling them that help was coming, that they were not alone anymore. He had believed it back then. He had believed they were doing something important. But then the war ended. The politicians signed their treaties, and everyone was told to forget. The mission was classified. The soldiers were sent home and told never to speak of it. The aliens they saved were left behind, still under the control of their masters. All of it for nothing. Do-yun put the jacket back in the trunk. His hands were shaking a little. He closed the lid and covered it with the blanket again. He went outside and sat on his porch. The sun was setting now, painting the sky in colors of orange and pink. It was beautiful, but Do-yun did not really see it. He was lost in the past. He sat there until it got dark. The stars came out, one by one. Do-yun looked up at them. Somewhere out there were the planets he had fought on. Somewhere out there were the people he had tried to save. Did any of them remember? Did any of them survive? He would never know. He was just an old man now. The war was over. The past was gone. Then he saw it. A light in the sky, brighter than the stars. It was moving fast, getting bigger. Do-yun stood up, watching. The light streaked across the darkness like a falling star, but it was too big, too bright. It was coming down. The light disappeared behind the hills to the east. A moment later, Do-yun heard a boom. The ground shook a little under his feet. Something had crashed. Something had fallen from the sky. Do-yun stood very still. His mind was telling him to go back inside, to call someone, to let other people handle it. But his body was already moving. He went inside and grabbed his old flashlight. He put on his jacket and his boots. He did not think about what he was doing. He just moved, like the old days, like when there was no time to think, only time to act. He walked into the darkness, toward the hills, toward whatever had fallen from the stars. The forest was thick and dark. Do-yun pushed through branches and stepped over roots. His flashlight made a small circle of light in the blackness. He could smell smoke now. Something was burning. He was 67 years old. He had bad knees and a bad back. He had not run in years. He had not done anything brave or important in decades. But tonight something pulled him forward, something he could not explain. The soldier inside him, the one he thought was dead, was waking up. And nothing would ever be the same again. The Symbol Bearer Part 2. Do-yun found the crash site at the bottom of a small valley. Trees were broken and burning. A long line of torn earth showed where something had hit the ground and skipped like a stone across water. At the end of the line was a ship. It was small, maybe the size of a bus. The metal was dark gray and shaped in ways that did not look human. Parts of it were on fire. Other parts were smoking. It had broken open on one side and pieces were scattered across the ground. Do-yun stopped at the edge of the clearing. His heart was pounding hard in his chest. He had seen alien ships before, a long time ago. This one was different from the Keth warships he remembered. Smaller, simpler. A scout ship, maybe. He walked closer, shining his flashlight ahead of him. The heat from the fires was strong on his face. He could hear the metal making sounds as it cooled, cracking, groaning. Then he heard something else. A voice, weak and scared, coming from inside the broken ship. Do-yun moved faster. He climbed over a piece of twisted metal and looked through the hole in the side of the ship. His flashlight showed a small room inside. There was a chair, broken controls, sparking wires. And there was a girl. She was trapped under a piece of the ceiling that had fallen. She was trying to push it off, but she was too weak. Her face was covered in blue blood. Her eyes were closed tight with pain. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue like the sky on a winter morning. Her hair was silver, long and tangled. She wore a simple gray suit that was torn in many places. She was hurt, badly hurt. Do-yun did not think. He climbed into the ship and went to her side. The metal above her was heavy, but not too heavy. He bent his knees, put his hands under it, and lifted. His back screamed in pain. His arms shook, but he lifted it anyway. The metal piece fell to the side with a loud crash. The girl gasped and tried to move away, but she could not stand. Her leg was bent in a bad way. "Easy," Do-yun said. "Easy. I am not going to hurt you." She opened her eyes. They were violet, bright like gems, and they glowed faintly in the darkness. She looked at him with fear and confusion. She said something, but it was in a language he did not understand. The words were soft and musical, but there was panic in them. "I do not understand," Do-yun said slowly. "But it is okay. You are safe now." She kept talking, faster now, more scared. Do-yun could see she was going to hurt herself more if she kept moving. He needed to calm her down. He put his hands up, showing they were empty. He spoke in a gentle voice, the same voice he used with scared animals. "I am a friend, friend, you understand, friend." Something in his tone must have reached her. She stopped struggling. She was breathing hard and tears were mixing with the blue blood on her face, but she was not fighting anymore. Do-yun looked at her injuries. The leg was broken for sure. She had cuts on her arms and face. There might be damage inside that he could not see. She needed help, real help. But he could not call anyone. If he called the police or the hospital, there would be questions. Government people would come. They would take her away. After what he saw in the war, he did not trust what they might do to her. He had to take care of this himself. "I am going to carry you," he said, knowing she probably did not understand. "It will hurt. I am sorry." He bent down and put one arm under her back, the other under her legs, being careful with the broken one. Then he stood up. She cried out in pain but did not fight him. She was lighter than he expected, or maybe the old strength was coming back to him. Either way, he started walking. The trip back to his house took a long time. Do-yun had to stop many times to rest. The girl passed out halfway there, which was probably better, less pain for her. By the time he reached his house, his whole body was shaking with tiredness. He carried her inside and laid her gently on his bed. Then he went to work. He still had his old medical kit from the war. It was basic, but it had what he needed. He cleaned her wounds with water and medicine. He wrapped bandages around the bad cuts. The leg was more difficult. He found 2 straight pieces of wood and used them to hold the bone in place, wrapping it tight with cloth. It was not perfect. He was not a doctor, but it would have to do. The girl stayed unconscious through most of it. When he was finished, Do-yun sat in a chair beside the bed and watched her breathe. Her chest moved up and down slowly. She looked peaceful now, even with all the bandages. He wondered who she was, where she came from, why she was here. He wondered if he had just made a very big mistake. Morning came slowly. Do-yun had not slept at all. He was too worried about the girl, too alert for any sounds of danger, but nothing happened. The town stayed quiet. No police came. No government ships appeared in the sky. Around sunrise, the girl opened her eyes. She saw Do-yun and tensed up immediately. But when she looked around and saw that she was in a bed, in a warm room with her wounds treated, something changed in her face. The fear did not go away completely, but it got smaller. She said something in her language. Then she touched a small device on her wrist. It made a beeping sound. "Testing," she said. Her voice was strange now, like 2 voices speaking at once. Her real voice and another voice speaking his language, a translator. "Can you understand me now?" Do-yun leaned forward. "Yes, I can understand you." Relief flooded her face. "Thank you for saving me. I thought I was going to die." "What happened?" Do-yun asked. "Why did you crash?" The girl looked down at her hands. "I was running. The Keth Dominion. They were chasing me. I jumped to faster than light too close to a planet and the ship could not take it." The Keth Dominion. Do-yun felt something cold move through his chest. He knew that name. He knew it very well. "The Keth," he said quietly, "they are still out there." "Still out there?" The girl looked at him with confusion. "They control half the galaxy. They have slaves on 1,000 worlds. They are everywhere." Do-yun closed his eyes for a moment. 40 years. 40 years since the war and nothing had changed. The Keth were still there. The slaves were still suffering. Everything they did, everyone they saved, it meant nothing. "I am sorry," the girl said. "I should not have come here. I have put you in danger. The Keth might follow my signal. I need to leave." "You cannot leave," Do-yun said. "Your leg is broken. Your ship is destroyed. You are not going anywhere." She looked like she wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She fell back against the pillow, looking tired and small. I am Yura, she said. That is the name I chose for myself. It means glass flower in my people's language. I am Kang Do-yun. Do-yun, she repeated, trying out the sounds. Thank you, Do-yun, I owe you my life. He shook his head. You owe me nothing, rest now, we will talk more later. She nodded and closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was asleep again. Do-yun stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was rising over the ocean. It looked like any other morning, but everything had changed. He needed to get some things for Yura. Food, better medicine, maybe materials to build a crutch. He went to his storage room to look for supplies. That was when it happened. He pulled out some boxes and did not notice that he had knocked over the blanket covering his old trunk. The trunk was open a little and the sleeve of his old uniform was hanging out. The sleeve with the patch, the symbol, the light of 7. He did not see it, but Yura did. She had woken up and was trying to sit up in bed. Through the doorway, she could see into the storage room. She could see the patch. Do-yun heard a strange sound behind him. A gasp, a cry. He turned around. Yura was out of bed somehow, moving on her broken leg, tears running down her face. Before he could stop her, she fell to her knees in front of the trunk. Her hands were shaking as she reached out to touch the symbol on his uniform. The light of 7, she whispered, her voice was breaking. The star that never dies. Do-yun stared at her. What are you doing, your leg? You are one of them. She looked up at him with eyes full of wonder and hope and disbelief. You are one of the star bearers. You are the one. Do-yun felt the world shift under his feet. I do not know what you're talking about, he said. But even as he said it, he knew it was a lie. And from the look on Yura's face, she knew it too. Everything he had buried, everything he had tried to forget, was about to come back. And there was no running from it this time. The Symbol Bearer Part 3. Do-yun helped Yura back to the bed. She was crying so much that she could not speak clearly. Her whole body was shaking, but not from pain, from something else, something deeper. He made her drink some water. He told her to breathe slowly. He waited until she calmed down enough to talk. Tell me, he said quietly, tell me what you know about this symbol. Yura wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. The blue blood on her face had dried now, making dark lines across her skin. She looked at Do-yun like he was something holy, something she had only dreamed about. Every child knows the story, she said. Every slave in the Keth Dominion knows it. It is the first thing we are taught when we are old enough to understand. She took a deep breath and began. 40 years ago, the Keth were at war with a new species. Humans, your people. The Keth were winning. They always win. They had bigger ships, more soldiers, better weapons. The humans were going to lose. Do-yun remembered. He remembered how bad things looked back then, how everyone thought Earth would fall. But then something happened, Yura continued. On a planet called Veth Prime, there was a slave camp there. Thousands of my people, the Velori, thousands more from other species. We worked in the weapon factories. We were nothing to the Keth, just tools, just bodies to use up and throw away. Her voice got stronger as she spoke. This was a story she had told before, a story she had heard 1,000 times. A group of human soldiers came. They were supposed to die. The Keth knew they were coming. It was a trap. 300 humans against 50,000 Keth soldiers. It should have been over in one day. Do-yun closed his eyes. He remembered the briefing. He remembered being told they were creating a distraction. He remembered knowing they were being sent to die. But they did not die, Yura said. They fought. For 18 months they fought. They hid in the mountains. They attacked at night. They blew up factories and freed slaves. They taught us how to fight back. She reached out and touched Do-yun's hand. Her fingers were cool against his skin. They wore a symbol on their uniforms, a circle with 7 lines. They said it meant hope. They said as long as that symbol existed, we were not alone. Do-yun could not speak. His throat was too tight. The war ended, Yura said. The humans and the Keth signed a peace treaty. The soldiers left. We were alone again. The Keth punished us for helping the humans. They killed so many of us. Her voice cracked, but she kept going. But we never forgot. We drew the symbol in secret places, on walls, on our skin, under our clothes where the masters could not see. Parents told children the story. Grandparents told grandchildren. The light of 7. The humans who came from the stars. The ones who treated us like people. She looked at Doyun with those glowing violet eyes. My grandmother was in that camp. She was 15 years old when the human soldiers came. She told me about them. She told me about a young soldier who found her hiding in a collapsed building. He was wounded himself, bleeding from his side, but he still carried her to safety. He told her that everything would be okay. He told her that humans never abandon those who need help. Doyun felt the room spinning. He remembered that building. He remembered that girl, thin and scared and looking at him like he was a monster. He remembered telling her it would be okay. He had believed it back then. That young soldier, Yura said, he had a scar on his chin, right here. She touched her own chin, showing the spot. Doyun's hand moved without thinking, touching the old scar that he had carried for 40 years. Yura started crying again. It was you. It was really you. I did not know, Doyun said. His voice was broken now. I did not know any of this. They told us to forget. They made us promise never to speak of it, I thought. I thought it was all for nothing. I thought everyone we tried to save was gone. We are not gone, Yura said. We have been waiting. For 40 years we have been waiting for the star bearers to come back. Doyun stood up and walked to the window. He needed air. He needed space. Everything he believed for the last 4 decades was falling apart. Why are you here? He asked. Why did you come to Earth? Yura was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder, more focused. A rebellion is growing. Slaves on 100 worlds are rising up. We have weapons now. We have ships. We have been fighting for years in the shadows, but we are losing. She sat up straighter, ignoring the pain in her leg. The Keth are too strong. They have too many soldiers. Every time we win a battle, we lose 10 more. Our people are dying. Our hope is dying. The elders sent scouts to find help, to find anyone who might stand with us. She looked at Doyun. I was sent to find Earth, to find the star bearers, to ask you to come back. Doyun shook his head slowly. I am an old man, Yura. The soldiers I fought with are scattered, dead, old like me. What can we do? You can give us hope, Yura said. The Keth think humans are weak. They think you forgot about us. If the star bearers appeared again, if that symbol was seen on the battlefield, it would change everything. Our people would fight harder. The Keth would be afraid. It is not that simple. There is a treaty. If humans help you, the Keth will see it as an act of war. Earth could be destroyed. Earth could be destroyed anyway, Yura said quietly. The Keth do not keep their promises. They are only resting, building their strength. One day they will come for you too. That is what they do. They take everything everywhere until there is nothing left. Doyun was silent for a long time. He thought about his quiet life, his garden, his fishing boat, the peace he had built around himself like a wall. Then he thought about that 15-year-old girl in the collapsed building. He thought about the promise he made her. He thought about all the people like her, still suffering, still waiting for help that never came. There were 300 of us, he said slowly. I do not know how many are still alive. We were told never to contact each other again. But you remember them. I remember everything. Yura's face lit up with hope. It was the most beautiful thing Doyun had seen in a long time. Then find them, she said. Find the star bearers. Tell them what I told you. Tell them that the light they planted 40 years ago never went out. It grew, and now it needs them again. Doyun thought about the faces of his old friends. Park Yoonji, the medic who saved his life twice. Cho Taewon, who could fix any machine and talk to anyone anywhere. Beak Somi, who could blow up anything and always had a sad smile. They had all gone their separate ways. They had all tried to forget just like him. But some things cannot be forgotten. Some promises cannot be broken. Do-yun looked at Yura. She was hurt and tired and far from home, but her eyes were burning with a fire he recognized. It was the same fire he saw in the slaves they freed 40 years ago, the fire of people who had nothing left to lose. "I will try," he said. "I cannot promise anything, but I will try." Yura smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "That is all I ask," she said. "That is all we have ever asked. Just try, just do not forget us." Do-yun nodded. Something was changing inside him. The soldier he thought was dead was waking up. The fire he thought was gone was starting to burn again. He had spent 40 years running from his past. It was time to stop running. "Rest now," he told Yura. "Heal, I have some calls to make." He walked to his desk and pulled out an old address book. The pages were yellow and worn. Some of the names had lines through them. Those people were gone. But not all of them, not yet. Do-yun picked up his phone and started dialing. The star bearers were about to rise again. Hash the symbol bearer part 4. The first call was the hardest. Do-yun held the phone in his hand for a long time before dialing. The number was old and he was not sure it still worked, but he had to try. It rang 3 times before someone answered. "Who is this?" The voice was sharp and annoyed, a woman's voice, older now but still strong. "Yoonji," Do-yun said. "It is Do-yun." There was silence on the other end. It lasted so long that Do-yun thought she had hung up. "Then, Do-yun, after all these years, I thought you were dead. I thought about calling many times, I just could not find the words. Yes, I understand." Yoonji's voice softened a little. "We all had trouble finding words after Veth Prime. Park Yoonji had been the best medic in their unit. She kept them alive when everything was falling apart. Do-yun still had scars that should have killed him, but Yoonji had refused to let him die." "Where are you now?" Do-yun asked. "I run a small clinic in the mountains near Daegu, quiet place. I treat farmers and their families. Nobody asks questions here." "Yoonji, something happened. Something you need to see." "What kind of something?" Do-yun looked toward the bedroom where Yura was sleeping. "I cannot explain on the phone. Can you come?" Another long pause. "This is about the old days, is it not? About what we did?" "Yes." Yoonji sighed. "I spent 40 years trying to forget Do-yun." "I know. So did I, but sometimes the past comes back whether we want it to or not." He heard her breathing on the other end, thinking, deciding. "I will come," she said finally, "but this better be important." She hung up before he could say thank you. The second call was easier. Cho T1 answered on the first ring. He lived in a fishing town about 2 hours away. Do-yun had seen him sometimes from a distance when their boats passed each other on the water. But they never spoke. They had an unspoken agreement to leave each other alone. "I was wondering when you would call," T1 said. His voice was calm like always. Nothing ever surprised him. "You knew I would call. I saw something fall from the sky last night. I figured it would find its way to you eventually." Do-yun smiled despite himself. T1 had always been the smartest of them. He could see patterns and connections that nobody else could see. "Can you come?" "I am already in my car." The third call was the hardest to find. Beak Somi had moved many times over the years. Do-yun had to call 3 old numbers before he found someone who knew where she was. She lived in a cabin deep in the mountains. No phone, no electricity. She had gone as far from civilization as possible. But she still had a radio, emergency frequency, the same frequency they used during the war. Do-yun found his old radio in the trunk with his uniform. It was 40 years old, but it still worked. He turned it on and sent a simple message. Star 7 to Star 4, do you copy? Static, then more static. Do-yun repeated the message 3 times. Finally, a crackling voice came through. I copy Star 7, this better be good. I was in the middle of building a bookshelf. Do-yun laughed. It was the first real laugh he had in years. It is good, Somi. It is very good. Can you get to the coast? Give me 2 days. Whatever this is, I hope there is something to blow up. By the next evening, they were all there. Yoonji arrived first. She looked older with gray in her hair and lines on her face, but her eyes were the same, sharp and clever and always watching. T1 came second. He was thin and quiet, with a long beard now. He carried a bag full of equipment that made clicking and beeping sounds. Somi arrived last. She was the smallest of them, but somehow she still seemed like the most dangerous. She moved like a predator, always ready to strike. They sat in Do-yun's small living room, looking at each other. 4 old soldiers who had not been in the same room for 40 years. So, Yoonji said, are you going to tell us why we are here? Do-yun stood up. It is easier to show you. He went to the bedroom door and opened it. Yura was sitting up now, her broken leg wrapped in bandages and supported by a wooden brace. Her silver hair caught the light as she turned to look at the visitors. Nobody spoke. Yoonji's medical training kicked in first. She walked over to Yura and started examining her injuries with professional focus. Alien, she said. Velori, if I remember correctly. The bone is healing well. Where did you learn to set a leg, Do-yun? From you. Yoonji almost smiled. Good, I see I taught you something useful. T1 was staring at something else. His eyes were fixed on Do-yun's old uniform, which was now hanging on a hook near the door. The symbol was clearly visible. She saw the patch, he said. It was not a question. Yes, Do-yun said. Show them, Yura, tell them what you told me. Yura looked at the 3 new faces. She was scared, Do-yun could see, but she was also strong. She had come too far to be silent now. You are the star bearers, she said. Her translator made her words come out smooth and clear. Your symbol is known across 1,000 worlds. Every slave in the Keth Dominion knows your story. You are legends. Somi crossed her arms. Legends die, we are just old soldiers. That is not what my grandmother said. Yura looked at Somi with her glowing violet eyes. She said the star bearers never gave up. She said when everything was hopeless, they kept fighting. She said that was the most human thing she ever saw. The room was very quiet. Yura continued. A rebellion is growing. Slaves on many worlds are fighting back, but we are losing. We need help. We need hope. We need you. The treaty, T1 said quietly. If we help, it is an act of war. The Keth will come for Earth. They will come anyway, Yura said. The Keth do not rest. They only wait. 40 years is nothing to them. They are already planning, building. One day they will finish what they started. Yoonji sat down heavily. So we are damned either way. Yes, Yura said, but you can choose how you are damned. You can hide and wait for the end, or you can fight and give others a chance. Somi stood up suddenly. She walked to Do-yun's uniform and touched the symbol on the chest. I think about Veth Prime every night, she said. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. I think about the camps, the faces, the children we carried out of there. I think about what happened to them after we left. She turned to face the others. For 40 years I wondered if any of it mattered. Now I know. It mattered to them. It mattered enough that they told stories about us. It mattered enough that they sent someone across the stars to find us. She looked at Yura. I spent 40 years building things instead of destroying them, trying to make up for all the bombs I made, all the death I caused. But some things need to be destroyed. Some enemies need to be stopped. She turned to Do-yun. I am in. Tell me what you need me to blow up. T1 nodded slowly. I still have contacts. military people who were never happy with the treaty, scientists who want to know more about alien technology. If we are doing this, we need allies. I can find them. Yoonji looked at Yura for a long moment. Then she looked at Do-yeon. You know this is crazy, she said. We are old, we are broken, we cannot fight a war. I know, Do-yeon said. Good, Yoonji stood up. Then let us do it anyway. Someone has to keep you alive. Do-yeon felt something in his chest, something warm and strong. He had forgotten what it felt like to have people he trusted standing beside him. Yura, he said, you said the rebels need hope. How do we give it to them? Yura smiled for the first time since she crashed on Earth. Send a message, she said. Let them know you are coming. Use the old symbols, the old codes. Every rebel camp has people who watch for signs. When they see the light of 7, they will know. T1 was already pulling equipment from his bag. I kept the old frequencies, just in case. I can broadcast a message across Keth space, but if I do, everyone will hear it, including the Keth. Good, Do-yeon said. Let them hear. Let them know we are not hiding anymore. He pulled his uniform off the hook and held it in his hands. 40 years ago, we made a promise. We told people we would not forget them. We told them humans never abandon those who need help. He looked at his friends, his family. It is time to keep that promise. The Symbol Bearer Part 5. The message went out at midnight. T1 had set up his equipment on Do-yeon's roof. Wires ran everywhere. Machines blinked with lights. An antenna pointed toward the stars. This will reach every corner of Keth space, T1 said. Every slave camp, every rebel base, every Keth warship. There is no taking it back. Do-yeon stood in front of a small camera. He was wearing his old uniform. It was tight across his shoulders now, and the fabric was thin with age. But the symbol on his chest was still bright. The light of 7. Are you ready? T1 asked. Do-yeon thought about his quiet life, his garden, his fishing boat, the peace he had built for himself. All of it was about to end. Yes, he said, send it. The red light on the camera turned on. Do-yeon looked into the lens. He knew that millions of beings would see this message. Slaves who had given up hope, rebels who were tired of fighting, masters who thought they had won. He spoke in a clear, strong voice. My name is Kang Do-yeon. I was a soldier in the United Earth Defense Force. 40 years ago, I fought on Veth Prime with 300 others. We wore this symbol. You call us the Star Bearers. He touched the patch on his chest. You kept our story alive. You passed it down to your children. You drew our symbol in secret places. You never forgot us. He felt tears building in his eyes, but he did not let them fall. We never forgot you either. We thought about you every day. We wondered if you were still alive. We hoped you were okay. We were wrong to stay silent for so long. We were wrong to let fear keep us hidden. His voice got stronger. But we are not hiding anymore. The Star Bearers are still here. The light of 7 still burns, and we are coming back. He looked directly into the camera. To every slave under Keth rule, you are not alone. You have never been alone. We see your struggle. We hear your cries. And this time we are bringing everyone. He paused. To the Keth Dominion, you thought we were weak. You thought we would forget. You were wrong. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity rises, and we rise for everyone. The red light turned off. The message was sent. For a moment there was only silence. Then T1's equipment started beeping. One signal, then another, then hundreds. Responses, T1 said, his voice shaking. From everywhere they are answering, they heard us. Somi was watching the sky. We have about 12 hours before the Keth respond, maybe less. Then we have work to do, Yoonji said. They worked through the night. T1 contacted his old sources in the military. Somi started gathering materials for weapons. Yoonji made lists of medical supplies they would need. Do-yeon helped where he could. Yura watched them all with wonder in her eyes. "I did not expect this," she said to Do-yun quietly. "I hoped, but I did not really believe." "Neither did I," Do-yun admitted, "but sometimes hope is enough." Morning came, and with it came visitors. First, it was other veterans, old soldiers who had seen the message somehow. They arrived in small groups, wearing their old uniforms or carrying their old equipment. They did not need to explain why they came. The look in their eyes said everything. Then it was younger people, children of veterans who grew up hearing stories about Veth Prime. They wanted to help. They wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves. By noon, there were 50 people at Do-yun's small house. By evening, there were hundreds on the beach nearby. Not everyone was supportive. Government officials came too, men in dark suits with serious faces. They said the message was illegal. They said it violated the treaty. They demanded that Do-yun turn himself in. Do-yun listened politely, then he said no. "The treaty protected Earth," he said. "It did not protect the slaves. It did not protect the innocent people who are dying every day under Keth rule. I will not pretend that peace is real when people are suffering." The officials threatened him with arrest, with prison, with worse. Do-yun did not move. "Do what you have to do," he said. "But know that the whole world is watching now, and you will have to explain why you arrested an old man for keeping a promise." The officials left without him. That night, a Keth warship appeared in the sky above Earth. It was massive, bigger than any building. It blocked out the stars as it hung in the darkness. Everyone could see it. Everyone knew what it meant. A voice came from the ship, translated into every language on Earth. "Humans, you have violated the treaty. You have sent messages encouraging rebellion among our property. You have aligned yourself with criminals and slaves. We demand the surrender of the one called Do-yun and all who helped him. If this demand is not met, there will be consequences." The world held its breath. Do-yun stood on his porch, looking up at the warship. His friends stood beside him. Behind them were hundreds of supporters. Thousands more were watching through cameras. He knew what he had to do. "Get me a broadcast," he told T1. "I want everyone to hear this." T1 set up the equipment quickly. Within minutes, Do-yun's face was on every screen on Earth, every phone, every computer, every television. He looked into the camera and spoke. "My name is Kang Do-yun. The Keth want me to surrender. They want me to be quiet. They want me to forget the people who are suffering under their rule." He stood up straighter. "I will not surrender. I will not be quiet, and I will never forget." He pointed up at the warship in the sky. 40 years ago, 300 of us fought 50,000 Keth soldiers. We did not win, but we did not lose either. We survived. We freed thousands of slaves. We planted a seed of hope that grew for 4 decades. His voice rose. "The Keth call us weak. They think humans only care about themselves. They are wrong. We care about justice. We care about freedom. We care about people who have no one else to fight for them." He looked around at the people gathered behind him. "I am an old man. I cannot fight this war alone. But I do not have to because I am not alone. None of us are alone." He turned back to the camera. "To everyone watching, this is our moment. This is when we decide what kind of species we are. Do we hide from bullies, or do we stand up for what is right?" He raised his fist, showing the symbol on his uniform. "The light of 7 still burns, and today we add more lights to it. Today we become a fire that the Keth cannot put out." Across the world, something changed. In cities and villages, in offices and homes, people started making decisions. Military commanders who were tired of the treaty contacted their ships. Scientists who had been working in secret stepped forward. Young people who wanted to matter joined together. Within hours, Earth's fleet began to move. Ships that had been gathering dust for decades came back to life. Weapons that were never supposed to be used were loaded. The Keth warship received a message from Earth's united government. This is Earth. Doyon does not stand alone. If you want him, you will have to go through all of us. We suggest you leave. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the Keth warship turned and flew away. It was not over. Everyone knew that. The Keth would be back with more ships, more soldiers. The war was just beginning. But for now, humanity had stood together. For now, they had chosen hope over fear. Doyon watched the warship disappear into the stars. He felt tired, but it was a good kind of tired. The tired of someone who had finally done what they were meant to do. Yura stood beside him. Her leg was healing well thanks to Yunji. She could walk now with a cane. "You did it," she said softly. "You lit the fire." "We lit it together," Doyon said. "All of us." He looked at his friends, at the crowd of supporters, at the ships rising into the sky ready to fight. 40 years ago I made a promise, he said. I told people that help was coming, that they were not alone. He smiled. It was the first real smile in a very long time. I finally kept that promise. Yura took his hand. Her cool fingers wrapped around his rough, worn ones. My grandmother was right about you, she said. She always said the star bearers would come back. She never stopped believing. Is she still alive? Doyon asked. Yura shook her head. She died 10 years ago, but she died with hope. That is more than most slaves ever get. Doyon nodded slowly. Then we will fight for her, for everyone like her, for everyone who believed in us when we did not believe in ourselves. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 1,000 worlds were waiting. 1,000,000 voices were crying out for help. Humanity was answering. Let us go keep a promise, Doyon said. And together they walked toward the future. The light of 7 was burning brighter than ever. And it would never go out again.